Awesome. Thanks, Richard. So welcome to Bricks at Home, everybody. This is running today and tomorrow. It's a joint initiative from Brick Alley Lug and London Affolds. As you all know, we're live for this weekend, so anything can and who knows may well go wrong. So be ready for the odd technical hiccup, but we'll resolve everything as quickly as we can if there are any issues. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, that's why there's this wonderful live authentic feel to it. You can drop in and out throughout the day, but I don't think anyone's going to want to drop out because we've got so many awesome builds coming up. My name's Graham Hancock. I'm the editor at brickfanatics.com and the deputy editor at Blocks magazine. And Richard's kindly asked me to host this, which I'm really excited to be doing for today, and he will be doing tomorrow. I'll very quickly run through the schedule. We've got the Weird and Wonderful session now. At 11:30, we've got Space, Classic Space and Star Wars. At 1 o'clock, there's a quick lunch break. At 1:30, Richard's running an activity where you'll need a handful of bricks, so have some bricks at the ready for that. At 2:30, it's the Technic and Great Ball Contraption session. And at 4 o'clock, we've got vintage and remastered Lego sets with a social to wrap things up at 5:30. So we'll get straight into session one now, which is our Weird and Wonderful session, starting off with Andy Back from Brick Alley with his Rock Raiders build.
Right, so I don't know if you can see them here, but I'll present each model individually. The complete collection of the Rock Raiders theme, which was from about 1999 to 2000. Very short run, but there was a lot of unique parts in them, and they were a massive part of my childhood. For example, with this one, it's got a walk-in mech with a unique chrome drill fitted, and the cockpit I think were unique as well. This one here, which has a little laser on which lights up. Again, with the nicely fitted chrome there as well. And the idea of these were they were deep space miners who got lost on a remote planet and needed to mine crystals to power their ship back home.
No.
So Andy, what was your first Rock Raiders set? Like, what was the one that kind of first hooked you on the theme?
The first one was this one, the Crusher, which was 4970, I think its set number was.
Yeah.
I received as a Christmas gift, and then that sort of started the addiction after that.
What is it about that theme that that you really loved back then? What was it that just totally, sold you on that specifically?
Well, there was I think there's a game for them on the PC and the PlayStation 1, which I played a lot of hours on, which also got you to know the characters, all the machinery, and it just obviously me and my friends, we used to collect them and play the games and that's what sort of started it all off.
And then, so how did your Rock Raiders collection expand after that? How did it snowball from that first set?
Well, just saving pocket money as a kid. I was only about 9, 10 when they first came out, and then getting them as I could. And obviously growing up, becoming an adult, my good friend eBay was able to help me complete the collection.
And do you have the full theme now? Do you have the whole collection?
Yeah, the full theme, yeah. There's only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7 sets in the theme. It was very small, didn't run, like I say, it only ran for about a year, and then they were discontinued.
And have you been tempted to build any Rock Raiders inspired build yourself?
Yeah, I've been trying to, but it's just getting, because most of the parts are quite unique, and so, printed parts they're quite hard to come across. But
some of the things like the drills and the monsters, right, were just totally new and unique.
Yeah, I think these was the rock monsters that came out. These big fellas, they were some of the first big figures that Lego produced.
And do you have like a favourite set in the theme? Is the one that you pick out as like the standout Rock Raiders set?
Yeah, again, the standout one is the first one I ever got, the Grove Crusher. That one stands out to me the most.
And could you talk us through the big base set a little bit? Because I remember like seeing that in a box on a shelf, but I've never seen it built up. I imagine a lot of people aren't super familiar with that one.
Yeah, I mean the base set is here. I don't know if it's quite hard to see, but you've got there's a crane mechanism on it, like a laser cutting into the boulders for the crystals. There's this neat little thing here where you put rocks on and it'll slide them down onto the tipper truck that you got with the set. Another one of the laser parts here, which doesn't work at the minute. It's yeah, and also the base plate as well for it, I think, was unique as well, with like the grey, the little cavern cut into the middle of it.
And how long did it take you to kind of track them all down and build up this collection?
I think I got the final ones about 2-3 years ago. I was able to eventually get my hands on them. So it took us.
And what year was it that these came out in the first place?
It was 1999.
That's mad. That was like a 20-year-long collection. That's so cool.
Yeah. And obviously, some was having them as a kid, you know, they've been broken and rebuilt many a times.
Yeah. And what builders do you admire? Like other Lego builders coming up with fan designs, whose stuff do you really get inspired by?
Anything that's got like a nice sort of futuristic, but also industrial, like big industrial feel to them, like big heavy machinery and anything like that. I'm really into. But also I like Star Wars as well.
And I missed a really important question at the beginning of this, which is what Lego user group are you a part of?
Mm-hmm. It's Brick Alley I'm a part of.
Brick Alley, excellent.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to some other builders now, Andy, but we'll come back to you with questions from the audience in a little while. So thank you very much for walking us through those Rock Raiders.
Yeah, no problem.
So now we've got Alan Hargreaves talking to us about his Jurassic Park display.
Hello.
Hey,
yeah,
Alan.
so I'm going to have to pick you up and carry you around because it's kind of big.
We're hoping for the guided tour, so I'm looking forward to
You are going to be, yeah. So I've only been part of Brick Alley for a year and a half now, and I started as just like a volunteer and then ended up with a lot of dinosaurs. But basically it started with, I'll try and go very slowly so you can actually see things. It started mostly with the T-Rex Rampage set, the really big one. And I was asked to just display the kit and the dinosaur, and me being me, as I just thought, no, I'm just going to make a giant Jurassic Park. So this is my dining room table extended, so you can sort of tell the size.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going too fast. It's so much fun to build and try and get in some. So we've got, it's very difficult. I'm trying not to knock over all the foliage because, as you might know, foliage just falls apart. So we've got some like little dinosaurs just watching Jurassic Park there. And the actual cinema isn't my build. It was my other half that decided to take on this task. Except he didn't put the foliage on it, so I ended up finishing it off. I'm very impressed with it. He did a very good job.
So how long has this taken you to build, Alan?
I'll probably say like about 6 months, but I've just sort of had it set up on my dining room table, and I sort of just add bits to it when I can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is sourcing all of the foliage parts, especially like through lockdown. Obviously, Bricks and Pieces hasn't been open through Lego, so finding a good amount of the plant pieces is quite difficult. On Bricklink, you'll find 1s and 2s.
Yeah. So it looks like you used the sets as the beginning of this, and then expanded it from there. So could you talk about that and kind of how that came about?
Yeah. So, well, I'll start with the main one. It did start with this set for the display originally, and then I thought I also had I had this one in a box, which was the old Gyrosphere set.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'll try adding that to it, and just see how it can go in nicely. And there's also like a lot of the sets come with fences and things like that, which I think are absolutely fantastic to just sort of section off dino areas. There's the Stigmalox just having a nice time in there. And then luckily Lego are still making sets, so I think that the little egg ride there, that was out last year, so that got added. But I wanted to give it a little bit more of a sort of not brand new look, so a bit of foliage has sort of grown all over it. I'm trying to see if and then there's this is one of the newer can't even speak, Gyrosphere sets, which I really enjoyed building myself, and just sort of adding to this. I didn't think it would take up a whole base plate, but it has. And then I've also got a little Duplo Jurassic World as well, just to
Oh wow.
add a little bit extra to it, because there's the dinosaurs for the with the Duplo are absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it just sort of you sort of get one set of the Jurassic World theme, and then you end up just adding more to it.
And what was the kind of trick to blending all of these sets together? Because when you look at them like this, it's just seamless the way that they're all sort of connected and everything.
Oh, thank you. Foliage.
Yeah.
The answer is foliage. Just, I mean, foliage is easy to sort of work with because there's no sort of wrong way to do it. Just be completely random with it and have no sort of no pattern, so it looks quite natural, and it just sort of it does blend in a lot more. Because I'll give you a little bit of an example. So this is a base plate that I don't know if you can see it probably. This was a quick fix because I had to take this from my Lego room upstairs. This is from my Lego City, and obviously it doesn't have that much foliage on it, and you can see it's quite bare. But then you go to ones like this, and it's like, oh, there's lots of stuff.
Yeah. And were there any like new to you techniques that you used when doing the foliage?
The trees, actually. I love Lego sort of introduced these. I'll try and see if I can get one, like these sort of trees in. It was a set this year, I think, for Frozen 2, and it was only a tiny little tree with some sort of stem parts, and I absolutely loved it. And then they released the bookshop, and they made a big was it a silver birch tree, and then I thought, oh, I absolutely love this technique to make trees instead of making them sort of big and bulky like this one over here.
Yeah.
You know, that they are absolutely, they're easy to make, but you just have to make sure that they're secure as well. And I like to sort of use they're like little stalk pieces to pin the plant pieces together so that the foliage doesn't fall apart.
And did you find yourself over the period of building this, did you notice your kind of ability to build these trees improve? Did you find yourself able to make them look more natural?
With the blocky trees, I had quite a lot of failures with them because it is incredibly hard to make a natural looking tree out of squares and bricks. But yeah, I feel like I did get better with them, but I'll still struggle. If I start building a tree now, I'll probably have like 3 attempts to make it look how I want it to look.
I'm noticing a few little like Easter eggs and fun things that you've put in there as well. Like I think I spotted Indiana Jones and there was like a raptor in a tent. So could you perhaps show us some of those and tell us how you came up with some weird and wonderful bits?
I'm trying to think of where they all are. I like to add these things in because I think it's quite nice to add sort of other themes in. I mean, Lego does that. I mean, if you look at like the Lego movie and things like that, they just always stick other sort of movies. So you've got Indiana Jones on this broken plane, which is actually from a city set. I think it was Ferris. I had a lot of the kids going, "I've got that aeroplane. Why is it in Jurassic Park?" Which I thought was really cute. You've obviously got Superman trying to save the day. Oh yeah, there's a little Bigfoot from one of the collectible minifigure series hiding in there. You've also got, you can just get in there, there's Rex from Toy Story, if you can see that.
Oh, wonderful.
And this one kind of blends in a lot, and a lot of people notice little Unikitty sitting down there from her minifigure series.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's really subtle.
She's very green.
That's really well blended.
Yeah, she hides. I think that's all of the Easter eggs.
And are there any particular bits aside from the foliage that you're really happy with in there? Anything that you think turned out really nicely?
I mean, I love my little waterfall that I made for my Triceratops. I do want to make it bigger, but I feel like for a second attempt, it actually came out really well. Let's try and sort of get in
definitely.
there. And I love this. It's not my one of my builds. I got the instructions on the internet for the actual Jurassic Park car, the Jeep, which I absolutely love as well. And one of my favorite things is usually to do like rock pieces as well, which obviously my other half did the cinema, but I loved sort of adding extra bits to this as well. Oh, there's a little raptor in a tent. I forgot about him. Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, there's so much of it.
Could we have another look at the cinema? Because that's insane. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
How did the idea for this come about?
So my partner was thinking, ooh, I want to make a little cinema to put my phone in it. And I was like, all right, then go ahead. And then after a few months of him not doing anything, he decided to do it. And then we got an iPad. And then I was like, don't you think it would look better with an iPad in it? So he ended up scrapping the small cinema for an iPhone and making a giant cinema for an iPad, which I absolutely love. He sort of left it quite grey, so I quite enjoyed adding little bits extra to it, like the foliage and these little broken chairs and some popcorn down there.
Oh, brilliant.
You can see that. Yeah.
Oh, and the little baby raptors are watching it. They're captivated.
Yeah. They love that. I think this is mommy scaring the people away. Ensure that they can watch their film in peace. You know, it's one of the things that my partner did is very clever. He's actually put, so I'm not going to move it because everything will fall apart, but there's a line here so you can lift this top bit off. And around the back, he's actually got a little flap that opens up so that I can plug a charging cable in as well.
That's very
so yeah, I'm very, very impressed with it. It's a fantastic job.
And
oh,
go on.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say it helps when you've got a partner that likes Lego as well.
I imagine it makes it easier to sell the idea of giving up the dining room table for Jurassic Park.
Oh yes, it does. Yeah.
And has this model been to any shows?
It's only been to 2, sadly. I had so many lined up for this year, but obviously lockdown happened.
Where did it go? What was the reaction
like?
So
it went, what was the first show it went to? It went to Shildon first, and everybody absolutely loved it. I had loads of people just sort of stopping and looking at it for ages. I think it's because there's so much detail on it that everybody's spending a lot of time just looking for things. And I got the same reaction at Ferris as well. So I am very proud of this display. It was a lot smaller when I went to those shows. But now I can't wait to see everybody's reactions when I eventually get back into doing more brick shows.
Yeah. And which builders in the community do you admire? Whose stuff are you always checking out and enjoying?
I mean, I have to admit, I do love a lot of the Lego designers, like Justin Ramsden and Marcus Besser. Both of them end up costing me a fortune. But the builds that they actually come out with are just absolutely spectacular. I know there's a big team behind them as well. But yeah, it's mostly those two that seem to get a lot of my time and attention. As Mark Stafford, I think it is, that built that designed the T-Rex Rampage set as well.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that, but I haven't been able to find such a big social media sort of presence from him.
yeah, he's
I'm not sure
about what he does, isn't he?
Yeah. I would love it if he would show more things, but yeah, I just have to wait and see for him to release more sets.
Yeah, he definitely deserves a shout out for that Jurassic Park. It's lovely, and even better when it's in a setting like this. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Alan.
Thank you.
We're going to have some audience questions in a little while, but first we're going to talk to Mark and Judi Kraska about their Fairground. Can you switch us over, please, Richard?
There we go.
Perfect.
Good morning, Graham.
Hey, Mark and Judi, how are you?
We're fine, thank you.
And you guys are from Northern Brickworks, right?
Yes, we certainly are.
We're very excited to see the fun of the fair then.
Right. Okay. Oh. Right, we won't turn it all on at the moment because, as you can imagine, it does all work and it gets rather noisy. We only got a small house and this is actually taking up half of our front room.
Fantastic.
And this is actually only about a third of what we have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything does work. When it doesn't fall apart, we've had a bit of a disaster this morning. One ride decided to strip its gear, so we've had to quickly swap for something else.
That happens at real theme parks, so it can only be expected to happen at a Lego theme park as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The reason for the Fairground is that my background, when I was a bit younger, young and stupid, if you like, I used to work on Fairground, spent about 10 years doing so. Always fascinated about how rides work, and how they were built up and how they were packed away. And I eventually ended up working on it for about 10 years. And that fascination has stayed with me ever since. Fortunately, I've got a partner that's, although she's rather new to Lego, that's my fault.
So could you tell us each of the rides that we're seeing in front of us, please?
Yeah. Right, if we start with this one, this is a Trabant or satellite. They were very popular from about the mid-1960s. Basically, it spins and then lifts, so it forms like a sea wave as you go around.
Yeah.
Then next to it, we have the up and over kamikaze ride. Just turn that one on. Yeah. Yeah. So just move around a bit. I won't run them all at the same time. And then next door to that, we have the Superstar.
Oh, cool.
That's a relatively modern ride. You'll see those on fairgrounds today. This one's powered by 3 motors, so it lifts, spins, and turns over right on itself.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And then moving on, we have an Enterprise wheel. Something you don't really see on travelling fairgrounds, but you'll see them at theme parks.
Yeah.
We're using S-Brick to control these. It's a lot easier than power functions.
Yeah.
When she wants to lift. There we go.
Oh, wow.
She will come to 90 degrees. Of course, riders in real life are actually only held in by gravity on that one. I've got to be honest, I might build them and I might have worked on them, but you won't actually get me on one of them. I am a bit of a coward when it comes to heights. Over here on the other side, we've got a mainstay of fairgrounds from the early 1960s, the Paratrooper. That's a 2-function one. It spins and it does lift. I need line of sight.
Oh.
There we go. And she will come down. There we go.
The colours look incredible when it's spinning.
Yeah. You can't beat the sight and sound of a real fairground, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then if you come back to, you might have noticed that on the layout, there's a lot of small sets that have appeared from Lego. You might remember the racing rocket ride that came out last year.
Yeah, that's part of Lego Ideas.
Yeah, well, that lends itself perfectly to being a fairground ride. And what better than 2 of them?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And then if
Got the ticket booth going on. You're just muted at the moment, Mark. So do you mind just checking if you've muted yourself there?
Is it me?
there we go. We're back now.
Yeah, I can hear you again now.
Right. Now this year's ice cream van, which again fills nicely into the fairground scene. And then just behind it, we have the roller coaster. Now this is quite noisy in this room, I'm afraid. So
we'll be quiet for a minute.
There we go.
You can watch these things for hours. They're so mesmerising.
Yeah, like I say, this is only about just over a third of what we actually have. When we do shows, if depending on if it's a 2-day show, we'll take more. If it's only a 1 day, you'll get something a little bit bigger than this.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to swap and change it, because the rides never appear in the same order twice. You can swap and change, and somebody might think, "Oh, I've seen that before," and then they'll realise, "No, I haven't. I've seen something else." And in answer to Richard's question, yes, it does actually fit all in one car. It fits in a estate car.
And what was the first ride that you built for this layout? Or out of all your fairground rides, which was the first one that you did? Oh, you're muted again there, Mark.
No, the host is not allowing participants to unmute. Richard?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you again now.
Right. The first ride we built was Lego's own Ferris wheel. Easy mod to put the motor on and make it run really slow. And that usually goes to all shows. It stands out, kids recognise it. We've also got the carousel. That's got some lights fitted onto it, but we haven't got that on show today. We've got this year's haunted house, but I don't feel it lends itself to this type of fairground. So maybe we're going to do something just with the drop tower section and add that in somehow, but we'll work on that.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to see how you can change that to make it fit in with this kind of fairground.
Yeah, I mean, as the house itself, it doesn't fit in with this at all. It doesn't look like a travelling fairground ride. It's more of a theme park based ride. But we have found at the shows that this is extremely popular, especially with the younger generation. And then again, with the older generation, who remember the rides that they used to go on. And the kids, because they see the rides that they would see at a fairground or a seaside.
So after you built those Lego sets, like the carousel and the Ferris wheel, how long was it before you were like, right, I've got to start building some of my own rides and start expanding this out?
We've had the Ferris wheel since it came out, and going back to February last year, we went to a show and thought, oh, maybe we could display something. What can we do? Fairground. And over the course of about 7 months, we built various rides. The Paratrooper is designed by somebody that lives in the same area as me. It's had to be adapted. The motors and the gearing have had to be improved because it won't last a full day. Otherwise, it tends to pull itself apart. And we finally came to our first show back in August of last year, believe it or not. So we haven't been on the scene very long.
You've made up for lost time, though, in how quickly you've put all of those together.
Absolutely. I've got to say, the wife also helps. She's a very keen builder as well, which is not bad for somebody that's only been interested in Lego for about the last 5 or 6 years.
And which of these was the most challenging to build? Which was the trickiest?
It's probably this one, actually, the Trabant or Satellite. This has actually had to be rebuilt 3 or 4 times now. Because the central mechanism, it's a bit of a cheat because the spin actually causes it to lift using the actuator just there. But because of the weight of the actual ride, it sometimes pushes it back down by itself. So every now and again we have a rebuild and a bit of a redesign just to make it stronger. And it seems quite reliable at the moment, which is famous last words. The roller coaster, that's a bit temperamental. If I can move the cars out the way. Now it's driven the same way as the Lego one now with the drive at the side of it. Originally, it was actually under the track and it would drive the edge of the car. But over a period of time, it seems to be wearing away at the plastic and then it wouldn't make contact. So that's just had a bit of a redesign and put the gearing onto the side now, which is making it a lot more reliable. But yeah, it's good fun. There's plenty more to come. We've actually we did have a bit of a disaster this morning. We have a speedway that a lot of the older generation might remember. You don't see them on fairgrounds these days. But that stripped its gears this morning, so that's going to have to be pulled right back to fix that, because unfortunately, unless you pull it right back down, you can't get to the gears. So more work to come.
Well, next time we'll have to see that one.
Yeah. We've also on the go at the moment a Super Bowl ride, which is basically a lifting platform with spinning cars, and soon to be started on will be a waltzer to match the speedway.
Oh, brilliant!
Basically,
have a waltzer,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Well, the speedway and the waltzer, they're the two rides that I used to work on, so after my own heart there, I'm afraid.
And so you mentioned that you used to work on some of these rides. How authentic are the mechanisms that you're using? Are they following the same principles that the real rides would have back in the day?
Some are and some are not. The coming back to the Trabant here, that is certainly not. The real ride would actually have a second motor here to lift this, which would be a hydraulic ram to lift it straight up. And the lift and the spin would be independent, where on this one, they're certainly not. Yeah. I think most of the other rides probably have the same principles. Apart from the Superstar, it's a bit of a cheat, this one, because originally the design, the motor to lift it was actually at the back, just here. And unfortunately, the weight of the arm kept pushing it back down. So what we've done, there's a motor mounted under the base plate here, and it pushes this airframe that you can just see, and that lifts the whole ride up into about 45, 50 degrees, and that made it a lot more reliable.
And is there a lot of trial and error when you're developing these functions? Or do you have it in your head really clearly?
No. Sometimes if I've worked on a particular ride and I know how it works, I'm fine. I've actually been working on a set of Dodgems, which have actually gone on the back burner at the moment. They were driven by magnets on a flat base plate. Unfortunately, it keeps pulling itself apart. So for the time being, just move on, work on something else, and then come back to it. You're looking at around about anything between about 1 month to about 3 months work for on any one ride.
And are there any, aside from the functional techniques, are there any kind of more traditional Lego techniques that are new to you from building these? Any new or interesting techniques that you want to kind of highlight?
I think, to be honest, it's the mixture of using Technic with ordinary Lego bricks. That's quite a challenge in some cases. Again, coming back to this one, the use of the Technic underneath and the frame and the gearing is always a real challenge. Yeah. I do find that it gets a bit frustrating that you can only fit certain size gears into certain places. To keep the ride at a limited size and certainly into minifig scale, it's sometimes quite a challenge to put small enough gears in that will power it. We've had a few occasions where the gears themselves just pull themselves apart because there's not enough torque on the system, or they just won't move the ride at the end of the day. The Enterprise wheel, which obviously lifts to 90 degrees, the only way to get the center to spin is to have the motor mounted underneath, where you're just adding to the weight, which can cause a real problem. And there is quite a bit of flexibility in that arm. But yeah, the merger of the two, that's really good. I think Lego should take especially in the more recent Technic models, they're looking at using more basic plates with the Technic parts.
Yeah, definitely. If you think of what it was like 10 years ago, the amount of Technic and system bricks that are combined now in Lego's own sets, it's definitely increased.
I think even if you look at the newer Technic sets as well, they're more inclined to give a vehicle or other such thing the finish look by using basic bricks, and that's really good now. I'm more inclined to go out and buy a Technic Land Rover or something because it looks finished rather than just being an open frame.
The Technic purists are going to be horrified by that.
Well,
And oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, I don't know how you can be a purist with the Lego because nothing's the same every day.
And which shows has this model been to?
First show started last year. We went to Hull, which is our home city. I have to say it wasn't the most successful day for us. We did learn a lot from that day. And then we just moved on. We got invited to a couple more. And this year we've actually been fortunate to display 3 times. We went to Calder Valley, Mithran Road, Sheffield earlier in the year, and we also went down as far as Reading at the beginning of the year. Very well received. I think Fairgrounds are popular no matter where you go in the country, which is very good.
And which builders do you particularly admire from the community? Is there anyone who kind of really inspires you, or you're really keen to see what they're building next?
No, we basically just anything that sort of interests us, we'll go for it. I wouldn't say anybody stands out. Jamie with his Hogwarts castle is exceptional. Judi likes to build sets, so we have architecture sets and the larger creator sets as well. When we get fed up of doing the fairground, we have a bit of a swap and change now and again.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Mark, for showing us the layout and going through all the rides with us. We'll have some audience questions in a little while, but we've got one more builder in this session to talk us through what they've got. So we're going to switch over to Matt Kirby with MOC Eisley now.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm going to switch the camera around. Yeah.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Switch the camera around now. So this is, I'll do a quick pan around of MOC Eisley, because as you'll see, it's not your standard Star Wars display. There are lots of other themes as well, a bit like the Jurassic Park, where there's lots of Easter eggs. This isn't just Star Wars. So it started off as Star Wars, but then it just got added with a lot more themes, characters. The standout of it being there's a Lego store here.
That's brilliant.
And a McDonald's over there.
This is what would happen to Mos Eisley if it was in the real world. You'd have all these brands coming in, right? Opening shops up.
Exactly. It's got a bit 21st century.
So where did the inspiration for this model come from?
It's been growing for a couple of years now. So I started off with it just being the cantina here. And then I added on the hangar for the Falcon. But the inspiration for making it a different theme was I needed to fill the cantina with lots of different alien figures.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that was finding just different characters from different themes and making it a bit funny like that. So there's, I think these Martians from an early 2000s theme there. There is insectoids from the late 90s.
Oh, great! Yeah.
There's all sorts. A lot of them are more modern.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts now. A lot of I have an original bit droid from Star Wars. Pod racer set, the very first pod racer set. Yeah. Fun fact that it looks tan now, but it was actually white. It's sun bleached.
Oh wow! It's a more authentic look now.
I know, yeah. And then this is one of the most recent add-ons is having a pool, so you can see Jack Sparrow's in there. There's Batman.
And what's that to the left of the pool that we can see there? Like behind that shade.
Oh, that's Han Solo chilling. Yeah.
So how do you come up with what you're going to add to this layout? Because yeah, like The swimming pool is so unique. Oh, by the way, Matt, if you could just kind of hold your camera on specific sections.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit tricky, but if you could just hold it on specific sections one at a time,
Okay.
then we can get like a really nice, clear look at them.
Oh, there we go. It's
yeah,
done a bit clearer.
Great.
Okay.
So,
I had like I've got a notebook with a list of different buildings I wanted to add, and I thought how I could go from there. The first one I did was beyond the cantina and the hangar was the Lego store, because I bought a set. It's like a Lego store set. I don't know how available it is, but I got it from the one in London, and that uses the door and the window from there. All these buildings have interiors, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, so if I just take that off, there's the inside.
Can we get a little bit closer to that, please? Oh, yeah, perfect. And then if you just hold us there for a minute, we can have a look. Yeah.
The downstairs is a bit better. Hang on, I'm not going to do that because it's going to break.
Yeah, no
It's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky one-handed. But yeah, they all have interiors. There's a cafe there with the mug.
Oh, great.
There's the doctor's arrived.
And could we have a look inside the cantina, please? I'd love to have a look there, yeah.
Is that clear enough?
If you could just go a bit closer for us so we can see a little bit more of the detail, and then just hold it still, that'd be great.
We've got the band.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Each section of this was based on kind of rivalry. So obviously here we've got Han Solo and Greedo.
Yeah.
And then here is Batman and Superman. Some Ninjago characters in there. Johnny Thunder's hiding at the back. Don't know if you can see him in there.
Oh, maybe just about, yeah. And is that and the whole like, kind of interior of the bar is like an original design. How did you do the kind of equipment that's behind the bar there?
Well, I think it started off from there was a cantina set. I think it was 2013 or 14. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I bought that set, and that was the starting point of that. And then it included sort of 2 modules, as it were, and a shortened version of this bar. So from
you
that
out.
I extended it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm the bartender as well.
Perfect. And the garbage truck outside, is that a set that you've adapted?
I did that this week, actually. It is I'll pick it up so you can see it clearer.
Yeah, great.
It's one of the sets from the Lego movie where it has like a masher system at the back. Yeah. And I completely rebuilt it this week and added a few parts so it would fit well into this model. And see there, it's got the arms on the front.
And is MOC Eisley going to keep growing? Do you see yourself just continuing to add to this as time goes on?
Yeah, I think it hasn't stopped. I've got ideas for having like a Star Wars themed theme park, so it might not be quite as expansive as Mark's was. I'm going to give it a go because I haven't really used motors much in many of my MOCs. So that would be good. I have this one actually. I'll show you this. We'll focus on this. So I've got a ride out here.
Oh, cool.
So I was using one of the microfighter sets, and Deadpool's right in there.
That's so neat. 'Cause they lend themselves so well to that kind of, you know, they look like a little ride, don't they, already? And then give it movement.
I think I have a box full of about 10 that I haven't used it, and I want to use those in kind of some rides, but I haven't got around to doing that yet.
So how long altogether would you say that this layout has taken you to build?
Ooh. I think it's been a couple of years, 2 or 3 years now, but most of it's been in the last less than a year, I'd say.
And does it tend to be like when you get a new set that you're inspired to add to it, or are you just building all the time for it anyway?
No, it's usually before shows. So I did an online show a couple of months ago, I think it was now, and I did 8 modules just before that. I found that I'm very quick at doing the modules now, so whereas the cantina probably took about 3 weeks to do with waiting for parts to arrive from Bricklink, I have a much more expansive set of parts now, so each one of these would probably take 1 or 2 days.
Yeah. And how many physical shows has this build been to?
Not sure actually. I did 10 last year.
So
yeah, I think I did 6 the year before, but in this form, it's not been out yet.
And what do people love about it? What are the kind of bits that people really get a kick out of?
I think it's seeing all the different characters, especially with the youngest ones as well. They go, "Why is Batman there?" Or "Why is this character here? That's not right." Then obviously it makes it more fun.
And are there any techniques that you've used in this that are new to you, or ones that you think are really interesting, or you know, worth a closer look at?
I think in terms of architecture, there's a few where I've used hinge joints to get walls to stay on angle. So there's the bit here, should be like that. And then this module here, this is the gym. I haven't shown you that bit yet.
Oh yeah, let's see the gym.
Yeah, so that whole upper section of that is the middle part anyway, is built on an angle.
Yeah.
So getting it to be structurally stable and on an angle is quite tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there, so the roof comes off.
Oh, cool.
There's actually a running machine and other sorts of weights as well in the other underneath the other roof parts.
With the likelihood of a bar brawl in Star Wars, you have to be in shape. You have to be hitting the gym, right?
Oh yeah. There's the drive-through. But then it's next to McDonald's, so they sort of tossed up between which one you go to.
And how do you? What's your kind of trick to making sure the building fit in with the Star Wars Mos Eisley aesthetic?
Lots of tan. Really. Tan's great. It's the colours really, and then also these dome parts, which aren't too easy. They're more easy to come by now because I think it came in a set this year, but prior to this year, it only came in one set, which was the cantina. And I managed to pick up 8 of them off Bricklink. So there's lots of those.
And which builders do you admire? Whose stuff really inspires you?
I'm not sure if there's anyone in particular, but I use Instagram a lot to post my own MOCs as well as just seeing what other people are making as well.
Yeah.
So and there's hundreds of thousands on there, obviously.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite Lego Star Wars set of all of the ones that have been released or that you own?
That's tricky. I tend not to buy as many sets now. If I buy a set, I would use it to put into this, or if it's a UCS set, I'll have that. I do have the Air Wing that came out this year, which is very nice. And oh, the Slave one, that's probably my favourite actually.
UCS one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
The angles on that are so nice.
Absolutely. Oh, Matt, thanks so much for walking us through your rendition of Mos Eisley. It's incredible. It's so expansive.
There's a lot I haven't actually got through.
Oh, show us some more. We've got time. Yeah, let's see them. Definitely.
I think over this side we've got the Doctor Strange Sanctum, because obviously
great.
all worlds need defending. This one is.
And does Doctor Strange's Sanctum have an interior on that one, or is that one?
Yes. Yeah, they all have.
It's easy to get to. Don't go. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
This one upstairs is a dentist. You can see that.
Is that Finn there outside the dentist's?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the toothbrush and tooth. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they're red and blue to represent lightsabers. And then there's the cinema.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, it's got like the classic Art Deco kind of shape to the front. Yeah.
Yeah, and the red carpet's out. And then out back is where the mechanic works. And bear with me one moment. This is the Admiral snack bar.
Fantastic.
And I think that's through them all now.
It's just so expansive. That's wild.
Yeah, I've got so many ideas that I could go through, just from using ideas from a standard Lego city and incorporating it into this kind of theme.
It's one of those things that makes total sense. If you think about in Star Wars, when it pans over Mos Eisley and there's all of those buildings there, what are they? And this is kind of imagining what, yeah. So I think now we'll open up to audience questions for everyone who's presented in this session, including Matt, but also Mark and Judi with their Fairground, Alan with his Jurassic Park layout, and Andy with his Rock Raiders. So if anyone's got questions, post them in the chat and I'll see if I can find the ones that have already been asked. So Matt, someone suggested Toshi Station next. Is that on the cards?
Ooh, it's not something I've thought about actually. I don't even know what that would be like actually. So I don't think we see it in the films. It's just mentioned, I think, unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
It's in the deleted scene. Yeah, it's not seen in the film, so maybe maybe it's something to
I didn't know about that, so I'm obviously not strong on the Star Wars knowledge.
Have a look on YouTube. It's all black and white and grainy, but yeah, there's a little, yeah. So Kaz has suggested that Alan builds a dino-themed train. Alan, what do we think?
I have actually already thought of that. I would love to do it in the colours of Jurassic World, so like the dark blue and possibly grey, instead of having it as like the classic yellow, red and green for the car. I would also like to have it as the monorail tracks, except I know they're very expensive and hard to find.
And Andy has also pointed out that he needs a Rock Raiders train. And I got a small feeling that this is all in reference to Richard Carter's very slight, very mild interest in trains. I know he's not a huge fan of them, but he likes them a little bit, and I think that's what we're referencing here.
Just slightly.
So let's see what other questions we've got. Oh, we've got questions coming through now. Does Admiral Snack Bar serve calamari? Andrew Webb asks.
I think he does. I think he sells everything. Hang on. He's in here.
Kirsten suggests that it's a brave dentist who would want to treat a Sith.
Oh, absolutely.
Kaz suggests that Johnny Thunder shot first.
I think that sounds like an actual shot you could buy at the bar.
So, are there any thoughts, Alan, on animatronic dinosaurs for Jurassic Park?
Oh,
From Ben
I'm not that skilled. That would be a fantasy. I'm really not that skilled with like the motors and the powered up functions. I don't think I could do it. I have started experimenting with it, so maybe in the far distant future.
I think the lawyer in Jurassic Park as well, he doesn't say animatronic, he says something else, but it's early in the morning, it's a Saturday, and it's Lego, so we'll keep it very family friendly. So why not build something to pay homage to Grant Imahara, who died earlier this week, like a remote control R2-D2 with a super level of detail, suggests Alex Threlfall. That sounds like a challenge for someone. So if anyone's brave enough to volunteer for that, then go for it. So Mark, what's next for the fairground? Richard asks.
Well, we've got a couple of rides on the go. A Super Bowl that I mentioned earlier. That's a lifting platform with spinning cars, and then possibly we're going to do a large-scale roller coaster. We've got the Lego set, but we've got enough parts to make that a lot bigger. But if we do that, that will be a separate display.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have to move as in one unit or two units. We won't have enough room in our car.
And I'll throw that question out to everyone. Space, like, how do you have any tricks or advice for other people on getting these models to a show and fitting them all in the car and dealing with those kinds of logistics?
Make it more modular.
With our rides, each ride usually packs into one, well, basically a really useful box. Or the big speed we have packs into a big cardboard box, and they all sit on top of each other and stack in the car, which is really good. A bit of foam or paper tissue just to stop stuff moving around. But the tighter you pack stuff, the less chance it gets damaged while you're moving. When we went to Reading, which is not an area I've been to in the country before, used the sat nav, and we came off the motorway way too early, and then we're going through all the B roads, and it was bit hairy scary with regards to the models all rattling around in the boot, thinking,
oh, no.
What exactly am I going to have to repair when I get there? Fortunately, everything did work.
Matt, do you have any thoughts on getting your model to shows in one piece?
Yeah, just make everything modular, really. Make sure it's all very strong in its build. And make sure that if you need to build it when you get there, make it so that it's really quick to build. For instance, the hangar here is one of the biggest sections of this, but it actually packs down into the smallest. So these curved sections, there's about 6 of them, and they're just literally clipped together and stuck in a box, which is really small.
And Alan, how about you? I mean, likewise, yours must be a challenge to get to shows.
Yeah, I have to admit, it's horrible having to rebuild foliage and trees and stuff like that, because you'll put one thing down and then something else falls over. So my advice is have the time to set it up properly, and also use lots of bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap, yeah, that's got to be your friend, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to challenge everyone as well to come up with obscure Rock Raiders questions for Andy. He's got the full theme, so absolutely anything he should know. He's the Rock Raiders expert of the day. So if anyone's got any questions,
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it's a new title we're bestowing on you now, Andy. Rock Raiders expert.
No.
Which is the worst Rock Raiders set? Which is the least compelling one?
It's probably the smallest one, which is this little one here, like a little hover.
Oh, that's terribly lazy,
cool.
isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't really much.
So, how about power miners next? Someone has suggested. Do you have any power miners?
I do. Well, funny enough, I acquired some a couple of weeks ago, and this one here. So these are going to be, I'm planning for future shows to mix both power miners and Rock Raiders into the same display. So have them like spread out.
It's definitely a different colour scheme for power miners than Rock Raiders, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, considering most of the Rock Raiders is turquoise and greys to bright green and orange. Yeah, bit of a change up.
And Richard asks about the most expensive character in Rock Raiders.
I believe is this minifigure here, known as Chief. He was available in any set. He was just available on his own. I think a special one-off they did. I think I paid nearly £20 for him. So yeah, he was quite expensive.
That's wild. So hot tip from Kaz, if anyone's wanting to make Rock Raiders MOCs, lots of the new teal elements are going to be handy in that.
Elements?
Now, oh, sorry, go on.
Elements for Rock Raiders, I would say, well, you've got the unique, the cab pieces, the big cabs on like the bigger machinery, they're hard to come by. The chrome drill bits, there's quite a few like unique printed tiles that they did for Rock Raiders, which I'm sure if you type in big bricklink, they'll come up. So like a nice turquoise one, and like pipe work, the frame on some of the machinery, they were unique, like a unique chassis.
Yeah.
Nice big, these bulky piles that they did for them. And you can never have enough rock monsters, as
Absolutely.
Alan pointed out.
Right, last call for questions. Oh, we've got one here from Kirsten. So this goes to everyone, so we'll take it one by one. What's each of your favourite bits of your models? If you were to only keep one little bit, which would it be and why? So Andy, we'll ask you to pick a Rock Raiders model for yours. But I guess we know what you're going to pick because we've asked you about your favourite, so I think we've got...
Definitely this one. This little detail on the inside, which you can see, like the engine.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that. So that's one bit I would definitely keep.
And now we'll throw that one over to Matt. So the favourite bits of your models, if you were to only keep one little bit, which would it be and why?
Oh, I'm muting now. Okay. I'll go for the cantina. That's where it started. And if I had to rebuild, it would go from there again.
Cantina is just so iconic, right?
Oh yeah. If you think about Star Wars, or even Mos Eisley, or even Star Wars, then that's one of the iconic scenes, isn't it?
And Alan, the same question to you. Favourite part of your model, if you were only to keep one little bit, which would it be and why?
That's very, very tough. I think I would actually have to keep the oh no, I can't decide. It's a toss-up between keeping the gate in the T-Rex and my waterfall.
Well, don't
Because
tell your partner that, because they built the cinema. So.
Yeah, you see, I would also keep that as well. But I'm only allowed one. I'm not very good with choices.
That's why it's such a tough question. That's why it's so great, right?
I think I'd keep my waterfall because it's my nice little Triceratops area, and I absolutely love Triceratops.
And then Mark and Judi, how about you? If you could pick one little bit of your model to keep, which would it be and why? I suppose you might have to pick out a ride here.
Yeah, it would be a ride. Unfortunately, it's the ride that the gears stripped on this morning, the Speedway. Basically, because that's the ride I grew up on. I remember the owner getting it brand new. That's the one it's based on, and I remember it when it left. So for me, it's got to be that. But we can cheat because there's two of us.
Yeah, I would keep the Caterpillar roller coaster because it was the first ride that I did that wasn't actually a set.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. It's got to have a special place if it's the first original build you've done, right?
Yeah.
Right, so Helen's got a question for everyone. If you could go back and buy one Lego set that's now retired, what would it be and why? So do you guys want to take that one first?
I don't know. No idea.
We'll give you time to think about that. Andy, how about you?
Suppose in regards to Chris's question about power miners, probably to buy some of them.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
I've not got that.
No.
Right, okay.
Mark and Judi, have you agreed on a retired set that you're both happy with?
I think
this
so.
question?
Yeah, we think so.
Which one is it?
Well, we got back into Lego. Well, Judi certainly got into Lego via building the Creator Expert sets and the modulars.
Yeah.
So for us, I think it would have to be Cafe Corner. We missed that one, and it does look the most interesting of the older sets. We've seen Greengrocer, but Cafe Corner, I think, is probably the best one.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, that's like the one that got away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt, how about you?
It's a tough one. I might have to go for something from before I was born. So something like the original Yellow Castle, or maybe the ship you have in the background, the original Barracuda ship, something like that. Something iconic that we all know now today.
Yeah. And Alan, do you have a retired set that you would love to go back and be able to get?
I got my holy grail of Lego sets that I really wanted last year, which was the Monster Fighters Haunted Mansion.
Oh, wow.
I would happily buy that over and over again if I could.
That's a great choice. That's such a nice set.
Love it.
Right, that is all of the questions that we've got in the chat. So thank you so much to Andy, Alan, Mark, Judi and Matt for presenting in session one. It genuinely has been so much fun. And we had a really nice comment somewhere that I'm trying to find, but I've lost. But basically, it was saying that you guys are all awesome and that it's been really nice not only to like look at the builds, but hear about what's gone on behind them and everything. So thank you so much for going through them with us. Our next session starts at 11:30. So we will be back then with space, classic space, and Star Wars. So thanks again, everyone. And yeah, let's all grab a drink, get a coffee, tea, whatever, and then we'll be back at 11:30 with more MOCs.